Hey, welcome! Today we're going to unlock an incredible cheat code for learning Spanish. And I'm not talking about boring memorization. Nope. We're talking about finding the patterns that have been hiding in plain sight this whole time. Let's jump right in.
You know the feeling, right? You're staring at these endless lists of words, trying to cram them into your brain. It is frustrating, it's kind of dull, and let's be honest, it's the fastest way to make you want to just quit.
But what if I told you that you've already done most of the hard work? That right now there are hundreds, maybe even thousands of Spanish words already tucked away in your brain. All they need is a little activation with a Spanish accent. Okay, so let's start with the absolute easiest wins you can get. We're calling these the AAR All-Stars. Seriously, think of these as a little welcome gift from the Spanish language. They're total freebies. Just look at this. Actor, color, professor, error, editor. The pattern here could not be simpler. If a word ends in or, in English, there is an extremely high chance that it is the exact same word in Spanish. Same spelling. No tricks. So here's the bottom line. You don't have to learn a new word at all. You just have to learn a new way of saying it. You give it that Spanish flair, and that's it. You just say it and move on. And here's how you do it. Two simple things. First, you got to stress that last syllable. So it's not acitor, it's actor. Not calar, but calor. And second, you gotta roll that R. Come on, roll it like it owes you money. You nail those two things and you're golden. All right, you're probably feeling pretty good right now, huh? As you should. You've just added a whole bunch of words to your arsenal. But Spanish likes to keep us on our toes. There's a little twist coming up. Check out what happens here. The English word creator becomes creador in Spanish. Investigator turns into investigador. That T just, poof, it turned into a D. And this, of course, brings up the big question. If creator becomes creador, then why is doctor still just doctor? Why doesn't it follow the same rule and become doctor? There's a really cool reason, and we're about to figure it out. It's time to meet the DOR makeover crew. This is where we solve the mystery of that T to D swap. And I'm going to give you a super simple way to know exactly which words get the makeover and which ones stay the same. So here it is, the big secret. There are actually two different teams of words. First, you've got the copy-paste club. These are words like doctor and actor that both English and Spanish just grabbed directly from Latin and didn't touch. Then you have the makeover crew. These are words that English built from a verb, like taking create and making creator. And Spanish does the exact same thing, just with a little door glow up. Let's see this in action, because it makes perfect sense. On the left, you see actor. It's a copy-paste word. It comes straight from Latin into both languages, no changes. But on the right, you see creator, which comes from the verb to create. Well, Spanish just follows that same logic. It takes its own verb, crear, and builds creador. See? It's a parallel path. So, how do you figure this out in the real world without a history lesson? Easy. Here's your 2-second test. Just ask yourself, does the word sound kind of formal? A classic profession, maybe? Like doctor, director? Those are almost always the Latin copy-pastes, so you keep the or. But if the word describes a person or a thing that actually does something, a generator generates, an educator educates, that's your signal. It's a makeover word. Swap the T for a D. Simple as that. Okay, knowing the pattern is a huge step, but making these words actually stick in your brain, that's a whole other ballgame. So let's talk about a learning power-up. It's called the picture box, and it's a tool to make any new word completely unforgettable. It's a really simple 3-step process. First, you gotta say it. Say the new word out loud. I don't care if your dog gives you a funny look, let your own ears hear it. Second, see it. Create a little movie in your head, a vivid mental snapshot of what that word means. And finally, own it. That picture becomes your personal hook for that word, locking the sound and the meaning together forever. And hey, this isn't just some wacky memory trick. It's totally backed by how our brains work. I mean, even Einstein said it. If he couldn't see it in his brain, he couldn't understand it. When you create a picture, you're firing up a totally different part of your brain, which makes that memory way stronger. So if you want to get started, just ask yourself some of these questions. For the word actor, what do you see? Maybe a Broadway stage, a red curtain, a spotlight. For generator, maybe you see a big, loud, rumbling machine with sparks flying off it. Honestly, the more specific and even ridiculous you make your mental image, the better it's going to stick. And the reason this works so incredibly well
is that our brains are just wired for stories and for images, not for boring lists of text. Using this picture box technique is like creating mental Velcro. The new word just sticks, effortlessly. So just step back and think about what we just did. With just this one little pattern, you have unlocked instant access to hundreds of Spanish words. The big takeaway here is that Spanish isn't just this random pile of vocabulary. It's a system full of patterns. And once you start seeing them, you realize this language is so much more accessible than you ever imagined. Which really just leaves one final, exciting question. What other secrets is Spanish hiding?